guys, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name's Laura and this is Laura Does Lifestyle. Today I'm going to be telling you 5 things I wish I knew before I started graduate school. So this has kind of been on my mind just because I have my graduation ceremony coming up, and I know right now is a time where people have probably already turned in their applications but are starting the interview process, and I just wanted to share with you, I actually started graduate school in 2015, and I did not really know anybody else who was going on, especially after their bachelor's. So I didn't know anybody when I was applying to graduate school. So these are just the things that I wish somebody would have told me before I started this many-year, very expensive journey. So the first thing is, number 1, make sure that you're getting the right degree for the job that you want to do. So that might sound very self-explanatory, like, well, obviously there's a certain degree you get to get a certain job, but there's also a lot of different options out there. So in particular, I have graduated with my doctorate in school psychology, but there's kind of a couple options, even just as far as that goes. So you can practice as a school psychologist with just a master's. It's actually a specialist degree, so it's like a master's plus a little bit. I have my PsyD, which is a doctorate of psychology, or you could also get your PhD, which is a doctorate of philosophy. And there's some distinctions in there, but I won't go too much into it. But basically just knowing that there are a lot of different options, and that's just in my one field. But knowing, like, is the type of job I want to have, do I need a master's degree? Do I need a doctorate degree? Do I need a specialist degree? What kind of degree would I need? So just really thoroughly doing your research of, if I know I want this job, this is the degree I need to get there. You don't go to graduate school just because you want to go to school some more. You're going for a specific reason. You're going to go into a specific field. Maybe you want to teach at the university level, or maybe there's just a certain career opportunity that that they want you to have a more advanced degree. But just really know and really think about, what degree do I need to get the job that I ultimately want? Number 2, apply to as many programs as you could possibly imagine yourself going to. I did not do this, and I lucked out, and I know other people who have not been as lucky as I have. So realistically, grad schools are a lot different than undergrad in the fact that when you apply to undergrad, certain schools don't take that many people, but you're one of maybe 5,000, 10,000, 15,000 plus students that school is taking. Whereas when you are going to a graduate program, particularly doctoral level, you are one of sometimes 3, 4. So you're not just competing against, there might be 20,000 applicants in undergrad and they take 15,000. At doctoral level, there are 100 people applying for 4 spots. So just the nature of the program, you really want to be able to keep your options open. And so my suggestion would be, apply to anywhere you could even possibly see yourself going, like at all. Even if you're thinking, well, I don't really want to leave, or I really like where I am, or this program seems perfect for me, apply. I mean, worst case, you get in, or you at least get an interview, and then you decide not to go there. There's no harm in having more options. So my number 2 thing I wish someone would have told me was, apply to as many schools as you can. Keep your options open. Number 3, it's not as hard as you think it's going to be. And I realize this might seem like a weird thing I wish someone would have told me. But in actuality, if you're at this point that you are going to graduate school, you're a good student. You probably did well in undergrad. You were probably top of your class. You're probably an overachiever. You're probably organized, have your life together, have far ambitious goals. You're the type of person that excels. That's why you're going to graduate school, continuing on this path, going to the highest level that, you can education-wise for whatever your field is. I went into graduate school thinking that it was going to be the most challenging thing I had ever done in my life. In some ways it was, but in some ways it wasn't. Now, to be fair, I did not do a PhD program. I did a PsyD program, so that's a year less of schooling. It's school psychology, so, it's not metaphysics. It's not, I'm not taking calculus 6. It's not, so there's variations, and obviously if you get a master's, there's going to be different types of things you do, but truthfully, you're going to do well because you're at this point. You're going to have to study, you're going to have to work for it, but it's not going to blow your mind. Again, I realize that might be like a controversial statement. I'm sure there are people who are in graduate school who completely disagree and say it's the hardest thing they've ever done. Every day is mentally taxing. I would say every day is going to be emotionally taxing, but actual content work, if you're at this point, you're in a field that you love. So I know for me, even when it was challenging, even when maybe I had to stretch myself a little bit more than I had in the past, it was worth it. And it was for a point. It wasn't, I wasn't taking accounting 101 knowing that one day I'm going to be a school psychologist. It was applicable to something that I do every single day that I love doing. So even if it's somewhat challenging, it's worth it, and it's something you love. So it kind of takes that difficulty out of it, in that it's useful and it means something to you. So it's not as hard as you think it's going to be. So the fourth thing I wish someone had told me before I started graduate school was how important your professors and your cohort is going to be. So if you aren't familiar, most graduate programs go on the cohort model. So you have a group of people. Sometimes it's as few as like 4. Mine was 13. There were 13. We had every class together for 3 years, and maybe 1 or 2 extra people from another program, but most of our classes were just us. So those people that you are basically about to spend the next 3 to 4 years of your life with, maybe even longer if it takes you longer to do your dissertation, are extremely important. You are going to be going through so much together, shaping your lives, starting this very long, like I said, very expensive journey to ultimately like the career and the position that you would like to have for the rest of your life. They are very impactful. And that's just, your classmates. Your professors are extremely important. One, because they make up the bulk of your classes. They are the one who's going to be teaching you, instructing you, but they are also the ones who are going to be writing all of your letters of recommendation for probably like the first few years of your career. They're the ones that are going to help you get connections when you're trying to get a job. They're going to be the people that you turn to, particularly in the academic and work realm. They are going to be the head of your dissertation. They are going to basically be incredibly important people in your lives. So your professors and your cohort are your life. If you have other family, that's nice, but they don't know what you go through every single day. So those people that you meet and that you are with every day really are gonna make or break your experience. So the fifth and final thing I wish someone had told me before I started graduate school was that, and this is my opinion, the actual practical experience you get during your graduate program is going to be more valuable than what you learn in your classes. Now, not to say what you learn in your classes isn't important. It is incredibly important. You cannot do the practical experience without what you did in class. So don't get me wrong, it's important. But what I use on a daily basis now as a practicing school psychologist, the bulk of which I learned in my practical experience during my graduate program. So what I mean by that is, yes, class is important. You have to get that information. You have to understand that. But that's knowledge. Again, you're in grad school. At this point, like, you're smart. You're going to figure it out. But the things that you can't learn in a classroom. How do I explain to a parent that their child has a disability? Or how do I get a teacher to see things the way I see it? working with lots of different personalities, being a leader while also knowing that I have people above me who make different decisions, advocating for myself, advocating for my students. So all of those skills that you cannot learn in a classroom. Those are the types of things that you learn. Like for me, I do a practicum experience. I know like psychology, that's a lot of times what we do. Maybe it might be in a research lab, it might be in a hospital, whatever setting you're in. But those actual experiences where you have like an on-site supervisor and then you go to your professors maybe for like additional supervision, that was invaluable. And truly, I look back and I think about how, like I said, those experiences, just like my cohort and the people in it, those practical experiences make or break how successful you're going to be in the future. Because at the end of the day, I said there were 13 people in my year, in my cohort. We all got the same education, but how we choose to use it, what exactly field direction we go towards, was molded by the experiences we had. Like I did my practicum in a school setting, school psychologist. Some did it in a more clinical setting as well. But what I saw there, it was things I want to do, things I don't want to do. I like that they did this. No, I would do that differently. Or this is the type of employer, like for me it's a district, like this is the type of employer I would want to work for versus this is something I never want to do. Like I will not work for them under any circumstances. But you don't know those things sitting in a classroom or even just your professors telling you or other people telling you. You kind of have to experience it firsthand. So as important as the actual knowledge and content that you got in your class was, that actual practical experience of applying that before you're just on your own and let free while you have a supervisor or someone there that you can turn to and go, oh my gosh, what do I do? While you still have that, it is incredibly important and invaluable. So I've learned a lot since I started graduate school over 4 years ago, and now as a practicing school psychologist. Looking back, I definitely probably should have done more research before I started. Super glad I made the decision I made. Very glad with where I am. I love my job. I'm very happy. But getting to this point, I definitely would have done things a little differently, or I don't know, had a different mindset going into certain things. So 5 things I wish someone would have told me. Know the degree you need. Apply to as many programs as you can. It's not as hard as you think it's going to be. Your cohort and your professors will make or break your experience. And your practical experience is actually probably more important than your classes. Hopefully you enjoyed hearing about what I wish someone would have told me before I started graduate school. So if you're enjoying hearing about my experience in school psychology and psychology related things, make sure that you like this video, subscribe, and then go hit the bell button so that you get a notification every time that I post. I'm also looking for your comments. I'd love to hear if you would like to know how I became a school psychologist, and I'm actually working on becoming a licensed psychologist, which is a whole nother thing. So if you would like to watch a video about how to become a licensed psychologist, I would love to hear your comments about that, because I think that's something I'd like to share and could be really valuable for other people in this situation. So I'm Laura, and this is Laura Does Lifestyle. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.